Now begins round 2 of the Pokémon Scramble. Each of the victorious teams from round 1 have taken their first evolutions. Their teams have improved, and they will now do battle once again to determine who continues on undefeated and who goes down to the loser's bracket. Today's battles will include Jen and Djoosah, Grif versus VirtualAdept, Minasunuki versus Flarolyn, and Raptor versus Diaz. Let's get started with Jen and Djoosah. Jen's team only bothered to use one Pokemon in her victory in the first round. That's probably a good thing because there weren't many solid options behind Dracovish. Now Jen's Primeape has evolved and shed its mortal coil as Annihilate. This ghostly monkey can bulk itself up and make itself a pretty dangerous opponent the more times it gets hit with its signature move, Rage Fist. Annihilate is a solid second offensive option, but her team does still lack for special attack damage. On the other side, Djoosah tore through his first round opponent with an unlikely Pokemon, the Clang that Djoosah has told me he has named Henry Ford. But instead of evolving Henry Ford, Djoosah's team now has some fighting spirit with Hisuian Decidueye. Since Decidueye is the Z-move holder, Djoosah also has access to all-out pummeling, which may not be the best choice if he winds up facing off against Annihilate. Let's find out if Djoosah's team can assemble another victory, or if Jen's team can seize not only the means of production, but the win. Spectre out for Djoosah, Dracovish for Jen. These are the strongest Pokemon on each team, and Vicious Rend is going to eliminate Spectre immediately. Minun would meet the same fate, but a Sash keeps it alive and it Volt switches, swapping itself out for Clang. Henry Ford also getting out of the way. Minun going to take a critical Vicious Rend. That's probably a good time to receive that. Henry Ford back in, but it's afraid of Dracovish. Decidueye does resist that Vicious Rend, brings Dracovish down to half. Decidueye stays alive, but a Shadow Sneak is not going to be enough to kill. That Shadow Sneak cutting Dracovish's damage by going first. Dracovish forced to swap out for the first time. Wormadam Trash takes Psychic Noise very effectively, but it will be prevented from healing. Another Psychic Noise will continue that status effective heal block as Wormadam puts up a Stealth Rock. Psychic Noise going to keep preventing Wormadam from healing up, and Wormadam going to use Scream Crash! And Mismagius continues to Psychic Noise and eventually does die to the Gyro Ball. Henry Ford back in. Dracovish going to be swapped in on Jen's side as Clang shifts gears. Vicious Rend reduces Henry Ford down low, but he's going to shift gear again, and Vicious Rend again will kill the Clang. Henry Ford off the table. Alolan Muck and Annihilate now in the battle. Annihilate going to bulk up as Alolan Muck continues to use Foul Play. Leftovers healing Annihilate a little. Drain Punch going to be very resisted by that Muck. And Foul Play brings Annihilate down to the yellow. Drain Punch again. Still resisted, but it is healing Annihilate every time it happens. Aguav Berry heals Muck down up to 76% and Annihilate now in the red. Wormadam Trash going to be brought in, and that takes a Foul Play down to the red as well. And Muck going to finish off Wormadam for Djoosah's first kill. This Muck has to run the table, but Shadow Sneak not going to be enough. Shadow Sneak again, it's reducing Dracovish's overall damage by making it not go first, but Dracovish will still have the power to kill Alolan Muck, and Jen has defeated Djoosah. Djoosah did fare much better than Jen's first opponent, forcing Dracovish out, using some smart priority strategies to cut the Vicious Rend damage, which benefits from going first, but getting most of the value out of that bulky Wormadam and a little bit from Annihilate as well. Jen's team was able to back up Dracovish and get the win. Djoosah down to the loser's bracket. Jen continues undefeated. Our next battle will be between Grif and VirtualAdept. Grif's team is now fully evolved, as the team now includes Behiam, Behem. We'll go with Behem. This doesn't change Grif's composition overly much. He still has 3 ridiculous Pokemon and 3 decent Pokemon. VirtualAdept's team has included Quackavall, which is the fully evolved water starter from the Generation 9 games. Quackavall now has access to a water move that increases its speed when it hits, and continues to have Moxie. It is now actually a solid Pokemon. That gives VirtualAdept 3 solid options, and the Rockruff in round 1 managed to take several kills on its own, possibly being the MVP of round 1 overall. Let's see if VirtualAdept can upset yet another tournament favorite, or if Grif continues to march toward his throne as the Emperor. Quackavall starts out for VirtualAdept, and Ursaluna on the other side for Grif. Flame Orb is going to get knocked off, so Guts won't be effective, but Supercell Slam is going to immediately kill Quackavall. Not expecting the electric move from the ground type. Azelf hits a Psychic on Giratina and then U-turns to avoid whatever's incoming. A Draco Meteor will trigger the Sash on Rockruff and reduce Giratina's special attack. Solid use of the Sash there. Here's Xerneas as a Stealth Rock comes in. Geomancy is going to take 2 turns, but it's going to boost a lot of statistics. There that goes, 3 statistics by 2 stages. Toxic Poison on Xerneas and Charm on Xerneas are going to potentially do something, but not if Xerneas gets kills using its special attack before the Toxic can do its work. Another Focus Sash keeps a Pokemon from dying instantly is Venonat. Skitter Smack going to reduce the special attack of Xerneas, and the Toxic Poison will bleed it out. VirtualAdept has done the one thing Grif's first opponent could not do, and that is kill Xerneas. But VirtualAdept is now down to 3 Pokemon. Lotad going to suffer a critical hit Draco Meteor and die instantly. Azelf next on the battlefield. Psychic going to hurt Giratina, but Draco Meteor only going to deal 40% thanks to the reduction in special attack. Another Psychic from Azelf is going to reduce Mantine, now down to the yellow after a second one, but a Hydro Pump lands and kills Azelf. Scolipede, the last option for VirtualAdept. Mega Horn will kill the Mantine and get a speed boost for Scolipede. Ursaluna eats a Mega Horn, but it's only going to go down to 30%, and a Headlong Rush will be enough to kill the Scolipede. VirtualAdept loses this battle, goes down to the loser's bracket, defeats 2 of Grif's Pokemon, including Xerneas, so not a terrible showing here, but Grif, a comfortable victory after that shaky first round. Our third battle today will feature Minasunuki facing Flarolyn. Mina's team chose to evolve to Chinchino. The King's Rock strategy is gone, but now the Chinchino holds loaded dice and has the ability Technician, meaning low power moves, like the many multi-hit moves that it has, will be boosted in their damage and will always hit near the maximum number of times. With the addition of Tidy Up that will clear hazards and boost its speed and attack, Chinchino is now a potential offensive sweeper. On the other side, Flarolyn's team has evolved Ursaluna Blood Moon. Instead of a physical damage threat like Ursaring was, Ursaluna is a ridiculously powerful special attacker. Its ability Mind's Eye lets fighting and normal moves both hit ghost types. It also means that its accuracy can't be lowered, and it ignores evasiveness. It also has access to one of the strongest special attacks in the game, Blood Moon, a 140 power special attack that it gets stab bonus for being normal type. And the only drawback is that it can't be used 2 turns in a row. Adding this to Flarolyn's team makes it a very, very powerful opponent, and Mina's team is still missing a couple of key evolutions. I think Mina's best bet is to rely on speed here, as I think that's the one thing her team will regularly have an advantage at against Flarolyn, and hope that she can knock down the dangerous offensive threats that Flarolyn poses before Flarolyn can get going. Let's see. Minasunuki versus Flarolyn. Flarolyn sends out Guzzlord, Palafin for Minasunuki. An Ice Punch is super effective into Guzzlord, and a knockoff won't remove the Z Crystal from Palafin. Flip Turn is going to get Palafin out so that it can transform into Hero Mode the next time it comes out. Knockoff going to continue to be effective, using to remove the leftovers from Lairon. Stealth Rock's going to make it hard for Flarolyn to swap in and out, and a Body Press will be taking Guzzlord to the yellow. Guzzlord seems to think Knockoff is the best move here, continuing to use it. Palafin now out in its hero form, and that is going to bring in Mabostiff to reduce its attack with Intimidate. Kingler going to come in now, expecting a water move. Correct expectation as a Jet Punch comes out. Ice Punch is equally resisted, but it's going to freeze the Kingler. Mina playing the high roll. Now, it's not going to kill the Kingler, but it is going to bring it low, and the frozen Kingler going to die. That Z move now not usable anymore. Ursaluna Blood Moon going to be taken to about half after the Stealth Rocks, but here comes the Blood Moon, destroying the Palafin. That's the first kill for both teams. Minior coming in. It's going to swap out for Lairon, and a Moonblast will be resisted, goes down to 1%, but Ursaluna going to heal up with its leftovers. Blood Moon, possibly in case a swap was coming out from Mina, but no swap. It's just going to kill the badly damaged Lairon. And Minior going to use an Earthquake. Moonblast takes Minior down to 53%. Now another Earthquake, only 16% to Ursaluna, but it is going to heal with Moonlight. And leftovers. Earthquake continues to chip away as Blood Moon again, this time resisted, going to kill Minior from over half. Blood Moon Ursaluna, very frightening. Guzzlord comes back out into a flamethrower. It's going to resist it, but it will still die partially thanks to those Stealth Rocks. Intimidate won't matter too much against a special attacker, but Mabostiff will have a chance to use its own Z move. Won't you come and wash away a Zelf? Blood Moon Ursaluna against Double Team, and here is where that Mind's Eye is going to shine. It ignores evasiveness. Ponyta could Double Team all it wanted. Flarolyn was going to be ready for it. Cinccino turns into a ghost, and it's going to use Triple Axle. That's a super effective move. Lands 3 times, and Blood Moon is going to still hit because Mind's Eye lets the normal move hit the ghost. Ursaluna doing most of the work for Flarolyn. What an improvement for her team. Flarolyn advances on undefeated. Minasunuki forced down into the losers bracket. Mina didn't do a bad job in this fight. Did get Palafin in and out early so that it could swap forms, used a super effective move with the Cinccino into the Blood Moon Ursaluna, but the combination of leftovers, healing, and a ridiculous ability combined with some very, very strong damage meant that Blood Moon Ursaluna was able to carry Flarolyn's team. Guzzlord put in some work as well, but Ursaluna, the clear MVP for Flarolyn today. Our fourth and final battle of the day pits Raptor versus Diaz. Raptor's evolution choice was a long-term play instead of an immediate infusion of power. His C-Dot was doing approximately nothing in round 1, and while it did add some reasonable stats, turning into Nuzleaf, the real goal is to get it to its final evolution stage. It will still have a chance to be significantly more impactful than it did in round 1, with some solid move coverage, decent typing, and much better stats than it originally had, though it still has some room to improve. Diaz's team chose to evolve into Dragalge. This poison dragon has already shown in the tournament that it can have value. This Dragalge's ability is Adaptability, boosting its poison and dragon moves, as well as having access to Toxic Spikes and Flip Turn, a water move that swaps it out for another Pokemon. The final battle of the day is coming at ya. Raptor versus Diaz. Diaz starts out with Entei, his legendary dog, against Ice-Q. That's a dangerous matchup, so swaps to a water Pokemon, good choice, but the Sacred Fire will burn Poliwrath. That Poliwrath will lose half of its attack because of it. Drain Punch, both resisted and Poliwrath has been debilitated. This is going to allow some setup if Diaz wants, but he's just going to go for Sludge Bombs on Poliwrath. It eats its Citrus Berry now. Poliwrath in a rough spot. It's trying to get as much value as it can, but there's the setup from Dragalge going for Toxic Spikes while the Poliwrath is going to have a hard time accomplishing anything. Belly Drum isn't going to work at under half. That's not a good choice, and Poliwrath seems to think it's a good idea, though Diaz now seems to think Toxic Spikes is a good idea, even though the battlefield is full of them. And both of these spots are kind of failing here. Poliwrath is continuing to burn out. Dragalge seems to think that Venipede is going to swap in, so it's trying to get Toxic Spikes value. I guess since Diaz knows that Poliwrath is going to die on the next turn, not gonna matter. Diaz does swap to Throw preemptively, and there's that Venipede swap. And now, Acid Downpour from Venipede. Going to get knocked off, but the Z Crystal already been used, and Poison Point going to poison the Throw. That's a little bit dangerous because Throw does have the Guts ability, so this is helping Diaz a little bit. Throw poisoned, but Leftovers counteracting that. Going to get out of here for a Fire Pokemon in Entei. That's going to take a lot of damage from a Waterfall, but the Sacred Fire is going to be blocked by Ice Face. Ice-Q doesn't take damage from the first physical attack it receives. Extreme Speed now going to hit Ice-Q for about a third, and Ice Spinner going to finish off the legendary dog. Raptor gets his first kill on the board. Super effective Ice Spinner into a Dragon type, and the Sludge Bomb will hit Ice-Q and poison it, but the Citrus Berry will keep it alive for at least one more turn. Diaz going to swap to Pachirisu, which eats an Ice Spinner for over half of its health, and Ice-Q doesn't quite die from the poison. Sandy Shock's now in. Booster Energy going to boost its special attack, but another Ice Spinner takes 3/4 of Sandy Shock's health off. Phantump in as the swap comes in. Dragalge manages to dodge a Leech Seed. Sludge Bomb going to hit. A Leech Seed will land now, so Phantump going to heal up a little thanks to that. Sludge Bomb takes another 48% in poison. Leech Seed not going to matter because it's already seeded. Trying to predict a swap, I would say, but another Sludge Bomb finishes off Phantump. Raptor down to his last two Pokemon. Roserade, Dazzling Gleam is going to be neutral thanks to the Poison and Dragon type canceling each other's out. Leech Seed going to continue to tick away and heal up Roserade here. Dazzling Gleam finishes off the Sandy Shocks. Pachirisu back in, also significantly wounded, but it's going to U-turn, leaving Dragalge out to take the Leaf Storm. Great choice there, it resists. Roserade going to use the White Herb to cancel out the loss of stats, but it will Dazzling Gleam to finish off. Mankey in now, that's a choice. It manages to live through the Venoshock and thrashes to kill the Roserade. I eat my words immediately. Nuzleaf Sucker Punches to finish off the Mankey, so let's see if Raptor's evolution choice can finish off the game for him. Leaf Blade is going to kill Throw, and Nuzleaf versus a hurt Pachirisu. Flying type transportation turns into flying type, nuzzles, and then a Leaf Blade will finish things off. Had that paralysis come through, Diaz might have been able to finish things off, but Nuzleaf, the evolution for Raptor this round, turns out to make the difference as it is the sole surviving Pokemon, and Raptor gets the win over Diaz. That was an intense back and forth at some points and an intense failure of move selection at some points. While we haven't seen the terrible switching that we saw in the friendly, we have seen some commitment to some bad moves, continuing to use a move that can not possibly have an effect like Belly Drum or Toxic Spikes while there's already two on the field. At least the Toxic Spikes I can excuse as a prediction that the opponent is going to swap, and with no new information available because Raptor continued to use Belly Drum, that is at least an understandable choice. But the Belly Drum at under half, there was no way the opponent was going to heal the Poliwrath unless it thought it was going to use a water move, I suppose. Okay, that's the best guess I can have, is that it thought the opponent was going to flip turn into it, and then it was going to heal because it has the water absorb ability, and then Belly Drum would work and boost its attack stat significantly. That's the best I've got for you. But either way, Raptor manages to take the victory despite those interesting choices. Diaz going to have to fight from the loser's bracket. Your winners here in round 2 action are Jen, Grif, Flarolyn and Raptor. Coming up in the next video, Liquid Courage faces Callisti. Sage battles Puniday. Dutch squares off with Bandit. And X-Drop Dead Z goes toe-to-toe with Heller. Be there on the next episode of the Pokémon Scramble.